people are treating these things like bologna sandwiches on Tuesdays. You got to train people. How do they know you have a Friday porterhouse? Like how to train your dragon, how to train your customer. You keep feeding them these kibbles and bits, and then you wonder why they just like barf out churn.
No, but can we say JP's got like the best analogies of all
Holy
time?
mackerel, that was a layer cake of analogies.
You're listening to the Daily Stand-Up by Lifetime Value. Consider this your daily dose of new ideas, fresh perspectives, and or hot takes as they relate to the worlds of customer success, post-sales, or whatever the hell we're calling it these days, and where we ask each guest one simple question. What's on your mind?
Just hold on 1 second for me. I just want to relocate myself for a second.
You don't want to show off the toys?
Yeah. Well, the toys or the family pictures in the background, that sort of thing. So, okay, we're good.
My dog will probably show up in my shot at some point, so
Mine might
don't worry about it. Okay, I'm going to get started. What's up, lifers, and welcome to the Daily Stand-Up with Lifetime Value, where we're giving you... I'm not on my game today. Where we're giving you fresh ideas daily related to the customer success space. I got my man JP here. JP, do you want to say hi?
What's up?
I got my man Rob here. Rob, do you want to say hi?
What's up? We're bringing that back.
Mary, would you like to say hi?
What's up? I feel like was it Doritos that did?
Oh my goodness. And I am your host, the pimento cheese sandwich of customer success. My name is Dylan Young. Mary, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. My name is Mary Migiano. I'm head of customer success at Compt. We're an HR tech lifestyle reimbursements platform. And I've been in the customer success, customer service game for a long time. So excited to chat with you guys today.
That's awesome. Thank you for being here. And you already know what we're going to ask you, but tell us, what is on your mind when it comes to customer success?
Yeah, what is on my mind? I try to be a pretty good problem solver, right? And so I find it challenging to really get stumped sometimes, right? And one of the things I'm stumped on right now and trying to think of some good brainstorming with is customers that are just unresponsive or that ghost you completely, right? Like, I think we've all been there. You try to take out all your magic tricks. You're trying to give them some great info and insight, but they just won't connect with you, right? So it becomes a big challenge for sure.
And so you're brainstorming that now, you're noodling on it right now, but do you have any ideas, anything that's maybe worked in the past, works most of the time, isn't working right now, and where's your brain at?
Yeah, so we've tried a lot of different things. Throughout my career, I think there's different ways to get in touch with people. So in our onboarding processes and when we're first introducing ourselves to customers, when trying to find out their preferred communication method, people don't want to jump on back-to-back meetings and things like that. They've got enough on their plate. So I think that's a key point, is finding out what appeals to them the most and the best way to get in touch with them. And then also trying to get creative. I've hit the point sometimes where I'll try to reach out to a contact that's been ghosting us on LinkedIn instead of email and things like that. And the approach of hey, just want to make sure we're not getting in your spam folder. We've got some important updates and information. And that does tend to nudge people by reaching out on LinkedIn, because they kind of think, wow, if you're reaching out on a different platform, you really must have some important insight.
Can I ask you a question, Mary, about that? First of all, thank you for bringing up an important topic that is consistent across every organization I've been a part of. And I also appreciate that you bring it up in a way as to brainstorm, not to say, here's my opinion about the world, which a lot of people like to do. I've been working on a playbook for this, so I'm also brainstorming these things. That's kind of interesting. My question for you is, imagine you get a hold of the customer and you ask, I noticed you haven't been responsive. Can you help me understand why? Do you think they'd say, I'm not really seeing value? Do you think they'd say, I'm just busy? Do you think they'd say, I don't know, someone quit on me and I just don't have the time or attention to pay to this? Or what do you think?
I think customers feel shame in that. Oh, it's another thing on my list I'm not doing, right? I was supposed to get in touch with you too. So I think people aren't authentic or truthful when you ask that type of question. They try to skate by it and things like that. So that's where I feel that brainstorm approach, what I always try to empower my team of is empathy of your customers. We're just one very small piece of that customer's day, that client's day. They've got a whole plate of things they're dealing with. But that's the code we can't crack, is like what that true reason is why customers will just ghost you. I think part of it is just uncomfortable, especially if they might be on the churn path. They like you as a person and they don't want to hurt your feelings or the company's feelings, so to speak.
Maybe not Dylan, but the rest of us, yeah.
This isn't quite a rock solid analogy, but I always take customer success back to personal, usually romantic relationships. And when you're breaking up with someone, if they're breaking up with you and you say, hey, this is the perfect time for you to tell me why, it's so unlikely that they're going to really lay it out for you. They're going to say, it's not you, it's me, right? Like that classic phrase. And so I like where your head is at, Mary, in that you almost have to assume the best intention and just try a million different things. You take a hypothesis and you execute on it of, well, maybe we are getting stuck in spam. So let me behave as though that is what's happening. Don't assume the worst. And just keep trying that. And I think in rare scenarios, you will have an opportunity to ask them, so was that the case? Is that what was happening? But I think no matter the answer you get, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and I think you need to truly look within where opportunity might be. So I'll give you an example of that. In the tech world, we see a lot of customers consolidating software. They want to do one-stop shopping, so they're consolidating down. So you could have a customer that comes to you and says, hey, I'm churning because we decided to consolidate software. And, your company is on the chopping block for that. But I think it's important not to look at just the face value of the answer, but the real root cause, right? The real problem there is that the customer doesn't see you as a valuable business partner to talk to you during the process of that evaluation. You need to have those checkpoints and those touch bases where they understand all you have to offer and you're part of that troubleshooting piece, that they understand your return on investment and all those things, that you can help carry them across through that finance team conversation or that executive conversation to say, hey, this is a valuable tool and we help arm them with the information they need, versus us being on the end of it where it's a churn conversation.
Sure. JP, what do you think?
Yeah, I think collectively you get an email these days, unless it's from your boss or something, who is this, right? Emails are a dime a dozen. People are treating these things like bologna sandwiches on Tuesdays. You got to train people. How do they know you have a Friday porterhouse, right? That means that your email your email game needs to be stepped up. Now, whether they open it or not is another thing, but I think of a lot of things in customer success is like training, like how to train your dragon, how to train your customer. You keep feeding them these kibbles and bits, and then you wonder why they just like barf out churn. You really got to give them that high grade organic chow. You know what I mean? And that's what your emails got to be. So like, what do the emails look like? Like, what's the data on that, right? Like, can we step our email game up so that eventually when they do start answering our emails, then they're like, wait a minute, I need to open up this email because JP, I think, has another food analogy for me, and I at least need to get my food analogy.
Did you just call Mary's customers dogs?
No, but can we say JP's got like the best analogies of all?
Holy mackerel, that was a layer cake of analogies. There's so many of them.
Can I add to that, Jay?
Go ahead.
Only if you've got an analogy.
I don't.
Maybe great.
But
Rob likes bologna sandwiches on Thursday. Sorry.
I actually do. I grew up eating a lot of bologna sandwiches, but that's family can't
with
cook
ketchup. We did bologna and ketchup.
We did too, Dylan. Are you from the East Coast?
I am. Pennsylvania.
I knew it.
Ooh. Well, some practical advice, analogies aside, some things I've done to mitigate this and some things that I've got in this non-responsive playbook that I'm working on is, first of all, I think getting a customer's cell phone on the kickoff, getting your economic buyer's cell phone on the kickoff is a very good tip. That might be the only chance you have to get it. Multi-threading in the customer org is also really good. So sometimes you move up the chain to the economic buyer, sometimes you move down the chain to the gatekeeper, and then also even multi-threading within your own org, right? So maybe you ask your manager to reach out. Maybe you ask your CEO to reach out. Now, a lot of CEOs, you want this to be a last resort because you don't want your CEOs to think that you're going to come to them asking for everything. A lot of people listening to this might not even have a direct connection to their CEOs, but that is another last resort option. The final last resort option that I use actually is an email to the customer just asking them, have you given up? So this sequence I'm working on is a 14-day sequence, and it ends, the last is an email saying, have you given up? And that has worked for me because customers will often say, no, just not a good time. I'm like, okay. at least we have some pulse from them. But this is a really difficult topic, so thank you for bringing it up, Mary.
Yeah, no, and I think, in our quarterly business reviews and things like that, as best practices from others, a great question to ask, kind of similar to the one you said, is there anything blocking you or getting you in the way from renewing next term? Mm-hmm. And that just opens the conversation and the door to have a straightforward conversation about it.
Absolutely. Mary, that's our time. Thank you so much. Fantastic topic. You really brought the heat, and JP brought the meats to cook on top of it. So really appreciate it, Mary. Hope to have you back soon.
Of course. Nice to see you. Bye.
You've been listening to The Daily Stand-Up by Lifetime Value. Please note that the views expressed in these conversations are attributed only to those individuals on this recording and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of their respective employers. For all inquiries, please reach out via email to dylan@lifetimevaluemedia.com. Find us on YouTube at Lifetime Value, and find us on the socials at Lifetime Value Media. Until next time.
Hey folks, it's Dylan here. Thank you for tuning in, as always. Now, I've got a favor to ask of you. If you've made it this far, hopefully it means you like what we're doing with our program. So I'm asking you to please give this a like and a follow or a subscribe, and leave a comment too. Your likes and your follows and your subscriptions, they allow us to keep doing what we're doing and reach a larger audience. Your comments help us make sure that we're making the best content for you. Best of all, it's free besides a few moments of your time. Thank you again for following along, and we'll see you next time.